A plumber's nightmare. A pipe thrown together in a garage. 59 metal parts welded on a workbench by hands that never touched a gun before. No wood, no elegance. Just tubes, springs, and the desperate prayer it fires when you need it. The British called it ugly. The Germans copied it. Resistance fighters built it in bicycle shops under Nazi noses. And across occupied Europe from 1942 to 1945, this crude metal contraption with a side-mounted magazine became the most feared close-quarters weapon the Axis ever faced. Why? How does something this basic, this cheap, this prone to jamming, end up in the hands of paratroopers storming Arnhem, partisans ambushing convoys in Warsaw, and commandos eliminating sentries in the dead of night? What happens when a $10 gun built in 5 hours becomes the symbol of resistance itself? Tens of thousands of rifles scattered across France. Britain stands alone, and the invasion barges are gathering across the channel. Home Guard units drill with pikes. Bolt-action rifles from 1914 get pulled from storage. Hunting shotguns become military issue. Prime Minister Winston Churchill knows the math. German forces can land. British forces cannot stop them. Not with what they have. The Thompson submachine gun costs $200. Beautiful weapon. Machined wood and blued steel. But America needs them first, and Britain is broke. Royal Small Arms Factory Enfield gets the order. Design something, design it fast. Design it so cheap we can make thousands before autumn. Demonstration on January 10th. Second demonstration January 21st. The Chiefs of Staff see it fire. 32 rounds, 9mm. Side-mounted magazine copied straight from the German MP-40. Blowback operation, open bolt. Stamped metal receiver, tubular steel stock, no handguard, no frills. Shepard and Turpin built it from one idea. Simplicity over elegance, function over form. The name comes fast. S from Shepard, T from Turpin, EN from Enfield, Steen. Churchill himself visits the test facility at Shoeburyness in Essex on June 13, 1941, fires the Mark II personally, feels the recoil, sees the group at 50 meters, approves production. The decision changes everything. Cost per unit, £2.50, 10 American dollars, 1/20th, the price of a Thompson. Production time, 5 man-hours for the Mark II. 12 for the Mark I, but they scrapped that design fast. The Mark III drops it to 5 hours. Components stamped instead of machined. Welding instead of fitting. Barrel manufacture revolutionized by Walter Hackett at Ackles and Pollock in Birmingham. Cold hammer forging using hardened steel mandrels. 1 barrel every 10 seconds. No boring machines needed. No rifling delays. Sir Claude Gibb calls it the greatest contribution to small arms production in the entire war. Hardware manufacturers supply springs. The gun goes together at Enfield. No precision tools required, no specialized training needed. A semi-skilled worker can assemble one in hours. Quality control becomes the issue. Early Stens jam. Magazines deform. Bolts stick. Soldiers call it the Woolworth Special. The plumber's delight. The stench gun. But production climbs. 1941, first batches delivered. 1942, tens of thousands rolling out monthly. 1943, Mark III simplification increases output. 1944, Mark V introduced with better finish. 1945, war ends with 4 million Stens manufactured. Britain produces 2.6 million Mark IIs alone. Canada enters production at the Long Branch Arsenal near Toronto. 104,553 Mark IIs built there. 1 million magazines manufactured. Better fit and finish than British guns, smoother edges, tighter tolerances. Canadian workers not under bombing raids. 3/4 of the workforce women. Absenteeism negligible. Memory of Dieppe too grim to forget. 2 Canadian Infantry Division under Major General John Hamilton Roberts. South Saskatchewan Regiment. Royal Hamilton Light Infantry. Essex Scottish. Cameron Highlanders. Queen's Own Cameron Highlanders. Calgary Tanks. Fusiliers, Mont Royal. And for the first time in combat, Canadian soldiers carry Stens, brand new, issued on the transport ships, pulled from shipping crates still packed with grease. No test firing possible. No range time. No familiarization. Just clean it fast and hope it works when you hit the beach. Private John Edmondson of the South Saskatchewan Regiment remembers the moment. Rounds a building corner in Dieppe streets, comes face to face with a German soldier, pulls the trigger on his Sten. Dull thud, misfire. The German freezes. Edmondson tries again. Another thud. Throws the gun away, grabs a dropped rifle, survives. 907 Canadian soldiers killed that day. 2,460 wounded. 1,946 captured. The raid fails, but the lesson lands. 2 years later in Normandy, Edmondson insists every new weapon gets cleaned and test fired. Your life depends on it. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual using sources from the Canadian Military History Journal published in 2004 with first-hand accounts from South Saskatchewan Regiment veterans. the Small Arms Defense Journal's comprehensive Stens of the World Series, analyzing production across 7 countries, and collector-grade publications Peter Laidler's The Sten Machine Gun from Wyoming, 2000, with direct quotes from Major Shepard himself explaining the weapon's naming. These are deep archival sources documenting production numbers, battlefield accounts, and engineering decisions from primary participants. Now back to the information. The bolt can slam forward on impact and empty the magazine in seconds. But after Dieppe, the weapon evolves. Later, 1942 models add a safety slot in the cocking handle. Bolt locks closed, dropping it won't trigger a burst. Quality improves as invasion panic fades. Tight tolerance barrels, better fitted magazines, proper heat treatment. By 1943, a well-maintained Sten in trained hands becomes devastating at close range. Paratroopers love it. Lightweight, 7 pounds empty, 9 pounds loaded. Compact, stock and barrel detach in seconds. Concealable, fits in a duffel, hides under a coat. Fires German 9mm ammunition. Captured rounds work perfectly. Effective range 100 meters. Rate of fire at 550 rounds per minute. 32-round magazine, but smart soldiers load 30 to prevent feed jams. Commandos carry it. Special Operations Executive issues it. And across occupied Europe, the Sten becomes something else entirely. Hope. The Special Operations Executive coordinates the drops. Resistance groups receive thousands. French Maquis in the hills, Norwegian Milorg near the coast, Danish Holger Danske in Copenhagen suburbs, Polish Armia Krajowa in Warsaw. From 1942 to 1944, approximately 11,000 Sten Mark IIs delivered to the Polish Home Army alone. The SOE and Sieciociemny parachute them in, but 11,000 is not enough. Poland needs more, and because the Sten is so simple, they build their own. Parts made in scattered locations, assembly in secret. The Germans patrol streets above, Gestapo raids workshops, but production continues. Some workshops develop their own designs, the KIS variant, the Błyskawica. Engineers Wacław Zawrotny and Severin Wielanier designed the Błyskawica in September 1942. Combines German MPE-40 exterior with British Sten interior mechanism, screws and threads instead of welding. 17th century joining techniques, easier for less skilled workers. Uses captured German ammunition, accepts MP-40 magazines. Tests conducted in forests outside Zielonka near Warsaw. August Emil Fieldorf of the KEDO approves it. November 1942, documentation sent to workshops across occupied Poland. Order placed for 1,000 submachine guns. Unprecedented for underground production. By July 1944, 600 Błyskawicas completed and accepted by Home Army Ordnance Command. 100 more assembled in July. Production happens in a workshop officially making metal fence nets. The irony, Nazi officials walk past daily, never suspect. 2 panzer divisions, including Hermann Göring Paratroop Panzer Division camp within sight of the city. Home Army launches Operation Tempest, 63 days of fighting ahead. Polish forces start with 1,000 rifles, 1,750 pistols, 300 submachine guns, 60 assault rifles, 7 heavy machine guns, 20 anti-tank guns, 25,000 hand grenades. The submachine guns include both British-supplied Stens and Polish-made copies. During the uprising, 40 more Błyskawicas assembled in the city center after the main workshop evacuated. Shortage of Sten barrels limits production. Barrels left in Teofil Tchaikovsky's shop on Lesno Street now in German hands. Fighters use what they have. Sten variants, Błyskawicas, captured German weapons, homemade grenades. The uprising lasts until October 2nd. 200,000 civilians killed in German reprisals. Resistance crushed, city destroyed. But the weapons built in those workshops prove the Sten's greatest strength. Anyone with basic tools can make one. Holger Danske builds 150 more. Gladsaxe suburb. Construction company Monberg and Thorsen employees manufacture 200 to 300. The resistance groups Frit, Danmark, and Ringen also build significant numbers, all under German occupation, all risking execution if caught. Norway. Resistance leader Bror, with overseas creation of large numbers of Stens from scratch, underground army, Milorg equips itself. Approximately 800 Norwegian-made Stens produced. Germans never stop production despite raids. France. After liberation, French forces retain Stens, use them in First Indochina War. Nome at Rhone Manufacturing produces the R5 Sten variant with forward pistol grip and wooden stock. Sliding bolt safety added. Max manufactured d'armes de Châtellerault. Tests prototypes shortly after the war. 2 triggers for semi and full auto. Grip safety, 4 grip using MP-40 magazines, folding stock. Complex trigger mechanism, neither prototype succeeds. Mac closes soon after, but the basic Sten design proves itself. Even the enemy copies it. Purpose remains unclear. Sabotage, deception. Guerrilla operations behind enemy lines most never used. Early 1945. Germany desperate for weapons. Volkssturm Home Guard needs submachine guns. Mauser produces the MP3008. Modified Sten design. Magazine mounts below the weapon instead of the side. Roughly 10,000 made just before war's end. The German military establishment that mocked the Sten's crude appearance now frantically copies it. Supreme compliment. Architect of the final solution. Head of the Reich Main Security Office. The man who convenes the Wannsee Conference in January 1942. The man who designs the genocidal machinery that will murder millions. Heydrich imposes martial law, mass arrests, summary executions. Between 4,000 and 5,000 people arrested. 400 to 500 executed by February 1942. Czech resistance, nearly paralyzed. London-based government in exile watches. President Edvard Beneš needs legitimacy. Needs to show Czechoslovakia fights. Needs to prove the Munich Agreement surrender can be repudiated. The decision comes fast. Assassinate Heydrich. Director of Czechoslovak intelligence František Moravec selects candidates from 2,000 exiled soldiers based in Britain. Special operations. Executive agrees to help. Brigadier Colin Gubbins takes charge. Knowledge restricted to few headquarters staff. Training locations across Britain. Cholmondeley Castle in Cheshire. Special training school in Scotland. Parachute training in England. 2 men chosen. Staff Sergeant Josef Gabčík, Slovak. 29 years old. Staff Sergeant Jan Kubiš, Czech. 28 years old. Kubiš substituted at short notice when another operative injured. Equipment issued. Sten submachine guns. Pistols. Modified anti-tank grenades. Explosives. Radios. Demolitions training. Small arms practice. Repeated rehearsals. The plan simple. Gabčík steps forward. Fires. Steen burst point blank at Heydrich. Kubiš provides cover with grenade. December 28th, 1941. RAF Halifax bomber drops anthropoid team into the protectorate. Navigation errors scatter the groups. Anthropoid lands near Navizdi, east of Prague, instead of intended zone near Pilsen. The target drives daily from residence at Panenské Břežany, 14 kilometers north of Prague, to headquarters at Prague Castle. Open-top Mercedes. 320 convertible. No escort vehicles. Heydrich confident, arrogant. Convinced Czech resistance poses no threat. The team selects the attack site. Hairpin Bend in Prague, 8 Lieben neighborhood, near Bulovka Hospital, junction of Kirchmajerova Street and V. Holešovičkách. Tram stop provides cover. Vehicles must slow for the turn. Josef Valčík from Silver. A group acts as lookout, positioned 100 meters north. May 27th, 1942, set as the date. Heydrich traveling without his wife. German troops deployed to Berlin Rally. Reduced presence in Prague. Timing critical. Positioning rehearsed. Everything ready. Heydrich departs Panenské Břežany. SS Oberscharführer Johannes Klein drives. Green open-topped Mercedes approaches the curve 2 minutes later. Gabčík conceals his stain under a raincoat. Valčík signals. The car slows, rounds the corner. Gabčík drops his coat, steps into the street, raises the Sten, points it directly at Reinhard Heydrich at point-blank range, pulls the trigger. The gun jams, fails to fire. 1 moment frozen. Heydrich stands, draws his pistol, orders Klein to stop instead of accelerating away. Fatal decision. Kubiš acts. Throws modified British No. 73 anti-tank grenade concealed in briefcase. The device strikes right rear fender, explodes. Shrapnel and upholstery fragments penetrate Heydrich's left side. Ruptured diaphragm, damaged spleen, torn lung, broken 11th rib. Grenade fragment and car debris embed in tissue. Heydrich attempts pursuit on foot. Collapses. Taken to Bulovka Hospital. Professor Holbaum operates. Dick assists. Spleen removed. Lung reinflated. Rib tip extracted. Catheters inserted. Multiple wounds sutured. June 3rd, Heydrich falls into coma. June 4th, 4:30 hours, death from sepsis. The infection from embedded debris kills him. Czech territory too important for war production. Mass killing would reduce productivity. But retaliation comes anyway. More than 13,000 arrested. Villages Lidis and Ležáky burned. Lidis on June 10th. Men and boys 14 and above shot. 173 killed. Women sent to Ravensbrück concentration camp. Children examined for Germanization potential. Those failing deported to death camps. Ležáky on June 24th. Same pattern. Estimated 2,000 people murdered in total during the reprisals. The assassins hide. 3 weeks in safe houses. June 18th, betrayed. Saints Cyril and Methodius Cathedral in Prague. Orthodox Church. Crypt refuge. 800 SS and Gestapo surround the building. Gunfire. Tear gas. Attempts to flood the crypt. Explosives used. The 7 men inside fight for hours. Some killed in battle. Remainder take own lives. No surrender. Bishop Gorazd, arrested, tortured, executed. Jan Kubiš's girlfriend Anna Malinova dies in Mauthausen concentration camp. Families of those involved hunted down. Marie Opalkova executed at Mauthausen, October 24th, 1942. Over 5,000 Czechs pay with lives for Heydrich's death. War. The Sten's jamming nearly ruins it. The modified grenade saves it, but the weapon's reputation spreads. Resistance fighters across Europe know the story, know the risk, know that even when it fails, someone must act. The Sten becomes symbol of that action. Cheap, simple, deadly when it works. And in the right hands at the right moment, it changes history. If you're finding this detailed operational history valuable, I want to remind you that subscriber support directly enables this kind of deep research. We're using sources like the official Czech Ministry of Defense publication Assassination from 2002 documenting Operation Anthropoid with declassified photographs and interrogation records, battlefield testimony from John Edmondson published in Canadian Military History Journal, and production data from Wikipedia's extensively sourced Steen article, updated within the last 2 weeks using references to collector-grade publications and Ian Hogg's Encyclopedia of Infantry Weapons. These aren't surface-level sources. These are archival documents, veteran accounts, and specialist military publications. Now back to how this crude weapon won the war. British 8th Army uses it. Sicily invasion, Malta, Italy campaign. Commandos prefer it for close work. Section leaders carry them. Platoon sergeants, officers, vehicle crews, dispatch riders, anyone needing short-barreled firepower. Effective in urban combat, house-to-house fighting, room clearing, trench raids, patrols, ambushes. The weapon's faults become known. Magazine lips critical. Slight damage causes feed failures. Single-column spring tension inconsistent. Side-mounted configuration allows dirt intrusion. Firing from prone position problematic. Magazine digs into ground. Better to fire from waist or shoulder while standing. Accidental discharge risk remains despite safety improvements. Soldiers develop techniques. Never hold by the magazine despite photos showing otherwise. Pressure on magazine housing wears the catch. Causes failures to feed. Hold forward of the ejection port. Keep off hand on receiver. Some units deliberately use the hair trigger flaw. Lock bolt back. Throw loaded Sten through window. Impact releases bolt. Gun empties magazine on landing. Enemy inside scatters. Tommy kicks door. Clears room. Practical application of a supposed defect. Steen Mark V introduced just before the operation. Wooden pistol grip. Vertical wooden foregrip. Wooden stock. Bayonet mount accepts number 4 Lee Enfield bayonet. Enfield foresight. Better finish than earlier marks. Heavier but more professional appearance. 600 rounds per minute rate of fire compared to 550 for earlier models. Paratroopers carry them. Fight for 9 days. Bridge too far. Division nearly destroyed. But survivors report Sten reliability improves significantly. Mark V becomes most sought variant by collectors decades later. Korean War. Canadians carry Stens. Unpopular as ever, but functional. American weapons preferred when available. Sterling submachine gun gradually replaces it. British Army phases out Sten in 1960s. Royal Navy uses them into early 60s. Lanchester submachine guns finally retired. Canada adopts C1 SMG to replace it, but the Sten's legacy extends far beyond British service. 9mm and 7.62mm Tokara variants. North Korea uses Canadian Mark IIs and Chinese M38s. France manufactures well-made copies into early 1950s. Argentina, South Vietnam, South Africa, Indonesia. All produce or use Stens decades after World War II ends. Yugoslavia breaks up in 1991. Croatian nationalists manufacture Plater 91, Sten-inspired design. Emergency production during Independence War. The design that started as desperate improvisation becomes template for insurgent weapons worldwide. IRA uses captured Stens, Mau Mau in Kenya, Viet Minh in Vietnam, Malayan rebels. Al-Qaeda catches in Iraq contains Stens as late as 2010. 65 years after production ended, the gun still appears in conflict zones. Simple, durable, repairable with basic tools. The characteristics that made it perfect for 1942 resistance fighters make it perfect for insurgents forever. 1 million magazines. Australia develops Owen gun instead. Superior jungle reliability. New Zealand produces 1,000 Stens. Belgium manufactures variants post-war marked with Belgian crown and ABL stamp. Poland builds over 2,000, including Błyskawicas and Polski Stens in underground workshops. Denmark approximately 1,000. Norway around 800. France quantities unknown but significant, all under occupation. All risking execution. Germany copies it twice. Great Potsdam 10,000 units. MP3008 10,000 units. 19,000 German-made Sten copies in final year of war. The weapon they mocked saves them when desperation hits. Thompson. Multiple days. Sterling submachine gun eventually replaces Steen, but not until 1953. Army settles on replacement in 1951 after years of trials. Ordnance Board considers replacements as early as 1942. Sten always intended as stopgap, wartime expedient, emergency measure. But it works. 4 million units, every theater, every allied nation, resistance groups across Europe. The ugly gun wins. Not through elegance, not through precision, through availability, through simplicity, through the basic truth that a crude weapon in hand beats a perfect weapon on the drawing board. Rate of fire, 550 rounds per minute for most marks, 600 for Mark V. Caliber 9mm parabellum, compatible with German MP40 magazines in emergency, blowback operation, open bolt, selective fire, safety slot and cocking handle, detachable barrel on Mark II, fixed barrel on Mark III, parts stamped not machined except bolt and barrel, minimal welding, no wood except Mark V, skeleton stock, crude sights, fixed aperture set to 100 yards, side-mounted magazine, horizontal feed, all the characteristics that make soldiers call it the plumber's nightmare, all the characteristics that make it perfect for 1940 to 1945. Commandos in black and white photos, grainy footage of liberation. The Sten becomes visual shorthand for World War II underground warfare. Museum collections worldwide, Imperial War Museum London, Canadian War Museum Ottawa, Warsaw Uprising Museum, countless private collectors, some original, some rebuilt from parts, some copied in modern workshops. Texas manufacturer International Ordnance produces ultra-cheap MP2 based on Sten design in 1980s. William York sells sputter guns, triggerless Sten clones, pull bolt back and release, empties magazine, circumvents firearms laws, legal gray area, eventually regulated, but the copies keep appearing. The design too simple to die. Heavier bolt slows cycle, stronger spring delays opening. Mark II uses simple coil spring, buffer spring added to some variants. Barrel length affects velocity and accuracy. 19.7 centimeters adequate for 9mm at intended range. Rifling produced by Cold Hammer Forging. Twist rate standard for caliber. Chamber dimensions except range of ammunition. German, British, American, Czech, Polish. Feed system weakest point. MP40 magazine design copied without modification. Lips critical. Single column stack. Side loading allows gravity assist, but also dirt entry. Double stack magazine would improve reliability but require redesign. Development time lacking in 1941. Ejection port small. Cover swings down on Mark II. Protects feed when not firing. Safety mechanism evolves. Early Marks lack positive bolt lock. Mark II adds slot. Later Marks improve design. Firing pin free floating in bolt. Primer impact fires cartridge. Simple but effective. Extractor minimal. Ejector fixed. Bolt face recessed. Gas escape handled by blowback momentum. No gas system needed. No regulator, no piston. Minimal parts. Maximum simplicity. German standard. Folding stock. Better ergonomics. Side magazine. Similar reliability issues. More expensive than Steen. PPSH-41. Soviet mass production weapon. Drum magazine. High rate of fire. 71 round capacity. Simple but requires more machining than Steen. Most produced submachine gun of war. Over 6 million. Owen gun. Australian design. Top mounted magazine. Exceptional reliability. Heavier. Wooden stock. Superior to Stain in jungle warfare. Australians reject Sten for Owen. Smart choice for their theater. Grease Gun M3, American Stain equivalent. Introduced 1943, 46 parts, even simpler than Stain, costs double. Still cheaper than Thompson, wire stock, stamped construction, similar concept. Later development, both prove same principle. Simple submachine gun can be effective military weapon. Doctrine changes because of Sten, British Army pre-war focused on rifle-armed infantry. Submachine guns seen as specialist weapons. Dunkirk changes calculation. Close quarters warfare emphasis increases. Urban combat, house clearing, trench raiding, patrol actions. Every section needs automatic firepower, but Thompson too expensive, too scarce. Sten fills gap. Section leader carries it, provides suppressive fire while riflemen maneuver. Paratroop units adopt it heavily. Airborne forces need lightweight weapons. Sten Mark II with detachable stock and barrel fits perfectly. Commando units equip broadly. Special operations require concealable firepower. Mark II's, suppressed version issued. Integral suppressor. Effective to 100 meters. Used for eliminating sentries. Silent killing. Wrapped barrel prevents sound signature. Rubber wipe in suppressor. Tendency to overheat. Requires short bursts. SOE issues to agents. Clandestine operations in France, Norway, Denmark, Holland, Poland, Greece, Italy, Yugoslavia. Behind enemy lines. Sten becomes signature SOE weapon. Inadequate testing. Feed problems common. Accidental discharge dangerous. But combat experience drives improvement. Late 1942 onwards, reliability increases, proper maintenance essential, magazine care critical. When treated correctly, weapon performs adequately, never matches Thompson for accuracy or finish, never approaches PPSH-41 for firepower, but serves purpose, arms millions, equips resistance, enables operations otherwise impossible. Cost-benefit analysis favors Sten dramatically, $10 buys close quarters lethality. 5 hours builds complete weapon. 4 million produced in 4 years. No other weapon system achieves that combination. German industry tries copying it when desperation hits. Validation of concept. MP3008 produced in final months proves design soundness. Even Nazi Germany recognizes Sten's value when resources run out. Mark III unifies receiver and ejection port, removes barrel threads, fixes barrel permanently, reduces to 5 hours, 48 parts. Mark 5 reverses trend, adds wood, improves finish. Better weapon, but slower production. Introduced when pressure eases, luxury of quality returns. But Mark II remains icon, balance of speed and function. The definitive Sten. The gun that won the war in workshops and backrooms and bicycle shops across occupied Europe. Skills transfer to post-war economy. Pride and contribution. Memory of Dieppe motivates Canadian workers. Know their sons and brothers carry these guns. Quality matters. Lives depend on it. Resistance fighters risk everything using them. Knowledge that crude weapon matters to someone hiding in occupied territory. Someone waiting for supply drop. Someone planning ambush. Someone fighting back. The Sten connects home front to combat front directly. Every magazine loaded, every spring tested, every barrel rifled, contributes to victory, tangible, immediate, real. Finished guns in piles, British training films, proper handling, maintenance procedures, strip and clean, magazine loading, firing positions, Operation Anthropoid photographs, Gabchik and Kubish before mission, training in Britain, Czech exile units, post-assassination reprisal documentation, Lidis destruction photos, Lejaki records, Cathedral siege aftermath. The Sten appears throughout. Visual record of underground war. Resistance symbol. Liberation icon. Occupying power controls everything. Death for possessing weapon. Torture for information. Family reprisals. Village destruction. But production continues. Because fight must continue. Because surrender means extinction. Because the Sten can be built. Because if it can be built, it will be used. Because using it means something. Means resistance exists. Means defeat is not inevitable. Means someone fights back. Technical detail never tells complete story. 59 parts, 2 pounds 50, 5 man-hours, 550 rounds per minute. Those numbers matter, but numbers missed the essence. The essence is a partisan in Copenhagen bicycle shop, measuring tube diameter, calculating spring tension, filing rough edges, testing action. Knowing discovery means execution, doing it anyway. The essence is a woman in Toronto tightening magazine catch, inspecting feed lips, remembering brother killed at Dieppe, ensuring this one works. The essence is a Polish worker stamping receiver, marking it in English, smuggling it out under guard noses, delivering it to home army contact, never knowing who uses it, never seeing the operation, just knowing it matters. That is what the Sten means. Not engineering elegance, not manufacturing precision, human determination, human resistance, human refusal to submit, secret drops unrecorded, clandestine production uncounted, but 500,000 confirmed, 500,000 weapons delivered to people fighting back, 500,000 chances to resist, to ambush, to sabotage, to survive, to fight. That number matters more than any technical specification. Fair assessment misses the point. Sten designed for 1940, built for 1941 through 1945, solved 1940 problem. That problem was how to arm millions with minimal resources and maximum speed. Answer was Sten, crude, cheap, fast, functional, everything it needed to be, nothing it did not. Historians who criticize it judge by wrong standard. It was never meant to be the best submachine gun. It was meant to be the most producible, effective submachine gun. It succeeded completely. 4 million made, war won, goal achieved. Modern. But in 1942, this corner changed everything. Gabchik steps into street, raises Sten, gun jams, Heydrich stands, Kubish throws grenade. 8 days later, Heydrich dies. 5,000 Czechs executed in reprisals. But Nazis' highest-ranking official assassinated. Government in exile legitimized. Munich Agreement repudiated. Czechoslovak resistance proven. All because 2 men trained in Britain, equipped by SOE, armed with Stens and grenades, parachuted into darkness, hid for months, planned carefully, acted decisively. The Sten jammed. The mission succeeded anyway. That is the weapon's real story. Not perfection, not elegance, not precision. Availability, presence, the fact it existed at all. The fact it could be made. The fact it could be used. The fact it was there when needed. Even when it failed, someone had it to try. January 2026, 81 years after war's end. Sten guns still appear, museum displays, collector sales, historical reenactments, film props, video game models. The ugly pipe with the side magazine, instantly recognizable, forever associated with World War II resistance. Liberation photos show it. French fighters in Paris streets, 1944. Norwegian resistance fighters, Danish underground, Polish home army, British paratroopers, Canadian infantry, commandos in black face paint, SOE agents behind lines, all carry Stens, all use the same crude effective tool, all prove the same principle. Simplicity wins, cost matters, availability determines outcome. The $10 gun that saved Britain, that armed resistance, that enabled victory, that changed history. Strip the Sten in darkness. 6 main components: barrel assembly, receiver, bolt, magazine housing, trigger mechanism, stock, 30 seconds disassembly when practiced, reassembly, same time. Critical skill for paratroopers. Equipment must survive drops. Jammed parts must clear fast. Resistance fighters learn from SOE manuals. Diagrams show each step. Clear the weapon. Remove magazine. Retract bolt. Check chamber. Basic safety never skipped. Magazine maintenance emphasized. Inspect lips frequently. Single dent causes feed failure. Springs must be clean. Dirt kills reliability. Load only 30 rounds, despite 32 capacity. Excessive spring compression causes jams, fire short bursts. Sustained fire overheats barrel. Accuracy degrades rapidly. Barrel can't be held. Metal too hot. Let it cool. Water can be used, but risks damage. Wet cloth better. Delays heat buildup. Practical field maintenance keeps weapon running. Paratroop sections organize around it. Sergeant and corporal carry Stins. Officers carry them. Riflemen carry Lee Enfields. Combination provides firepower and range. Urban environment favors submachine gun. Rural environment needs rifles. Combined arms at section level. Flexibility in deployment. Stens for close work. Rifles for distance. Balanced approach. Norwegian resistance develops ambush tactics. Wait until vehicle stops. Fire from multiple positions. Sten effective at 20 to 30 meters. Closer, better. Escape routes planned. Weapon easily concealed after action. Disassemble. Hide components separately. Reassemble when needed. German searches find nothing. Tactics work. Combat ranges. Live ammunition. Stress inoculation. Realistic scenarios. Simulated ambushes. Building entry. Sentry elimination. Suppressed Sten drills. Silent approach. Single shot to head. Immediate withdrawal. No hesitation. Agents learn weapon. Becomes extension of body. Muscle memory critical. Malfunction drills repeated endlessly. Jam clearance must be automatic. Under fire. In darkness. No thinking required. Body knows movements. Tap magazine. Rack bolt. Resume firing. Seconds matter. Training saves lives. SOE knows it. Invests heavily. Students who fail weapon handling fail course. Standard absolute. You carry Sten behind lines. You must know it perfectly. Your life depends on it. Your mission depends on it. No second chances. Mark II becomes standard. Removable barrel. Skeleton stock. Simple but effective. Mark II ES adds integral suppressor. Canvas cover protects suppressor. Overheating limited by burst restrictions. Used extensively in France, in Norway. Behind enemy lines everywhere. Mark III simplifies further. Fixed barrel. Unified receiver. 5-hour production time. Lines Brothers makes hundreds of thousands. Mark IV prototype never issued. Design flawed. Testing reveals problems. Abandoned before production. Mark V emerges late war. Wooden furniture returns. Bayonet lug added. Better sights. Forward pistol grip. Quality improves. No longer desperate emergency. Time allows refinement. Becomes prestige weapon. Paratroopers prefer it. Commandos request it. Better than Mark II, but heavier. Trade-off accepted. Mark VI adds suppressor to Mark V. Heaviest variant, used by special forces. Operations requiring silence. Rare compared to Mark IIS, but effective when needed. Each mark addresses specific requirement. None perfect, all functional. American M3 grease gun follows same path. Developed 1943, even simpler than Sten. Israeli Uzi developed 1950, stamped construction. Sten legacy continues. Each generation learns. Simple submachine gun works. Field reliability matters more than appearance. Weapon too prolific to disappear, too simple to break permanently. 4 million guns means millions of spare parts. Logistics officers dream. Commonwealth units all use 9mm. Captured German ammunition fits. Supply flexibility matters. Sten design accommodates it. Deliberate choice, small decision, huge impact. Resistance fighters use captured rounds. Practicality over nationalism. Works. Soldiers improvise. Leather magazine protector prevents lip damage. Issued to some units, made by others. Barrel wrap prevents burns. Cloth, leather. Asbestos when available. Hand must grip forward. But sustained fire heats. Metal. Protection needed. Improved slings, shoulder straps, carrying methods. Standard sling inadequate. Soldiers modify. Better attachment points. Padded straps. Field expedient solutions. Some units paint Stens. Camouflage patterns. Desert tan. Forest green. Arctic white. Official finish, just blued steel. Field conditions require adaptation. Paint protects metal. reduces glare, aids concealment, soldiers know battlefield, make weapon work better. Unit armorers support modifications, improve reliability, tighten tolerances when possible, replace weak springs, inspect firing pins, maintain feed lips, professional care extends service life. Weapon responds to attention, neglect causes failure. Proper treatment ensures function, soldiers learn fast. Good weapon handler keeps Sten running, poor weapon handler faces jams. Darwin applies to military equipment. Competent survive, incompetent suffer. Sten does not forgive carelessness. Only Soviet PP-SH-41 exceeds it. British and Commonwealth forces, resistance movements, special operations, every theater of war, every year of conflict. 1941 to 1945 and beyond, Korea, Malaysia, Kenya, Vietnam, Middle East. The crude pipe spreads worldwide, appears in every conflict, copied, modified, reproduced, improved, but always recognizable, always the Sten. The gun that proved elegance is optional. Reliability is negotiable. Availability is essential. Function matters. Form does not. If it fires when you need it, it is good enough. If you can build it in a shed, it is good enough. If resistance fighters can make it under Nazi noses, it is good enough. If it puts a weapon in desperate hands, it is good enough. The Sten was good enough. That is its legacy. That is its triumph. Good enough to win.